right, thank you for staying with Daybreak. The State of the Nation conversation continues now. We're talking about matters, politics, and everything in between there. My guests are with me, Dr. Ekuru Aukot, Party Leader, Third Way Alliance. Thank you for making time. Kennedy Obuya, Chairman, UDA, Homa Bay. Thank you for making time. And Honorable Joe Newtu, Senator for Murang'a. Thank you very much for making time. Receive apologies from Honorable Mark Nyamita, Member of Parliament for Uriri. You did not manage to join us this morning. He'll come next time. So, Ken, I was bringing you into this, and you've had the conversation that was being had between Ekuru and Newtu. But do you think ODM's reaction was justified to draw the line, so to speak, that whoever is on that side now is no longer our friend? In fact, their statement is the friend of our enemy is our enemy.
I would give ODM leadership a benefit of doubt. Number one, I would categorize it as a statement made at the spur of the moment. Could it be that the statement made by Governor Funyeri, like I said earlier, could have provoked some mixed emotions? But I would not pray that, two wrongs does not make a right. I pray that moving forward in the spirit of broad-based, because my party leader, President William Samoei Ruto, and the late Raila Amolo Odinga believed in reconciliation, and they have made a lot of sacrifices by uniting the two coalition parties in the spirit of moving Kenya forward. So on that strength, I just pray that the leadership of ODM, as much as, because similar rhetoric, similar statements would be still coming. And how I pray that in their reactions, they would make statements that only unites communities, statements that only brings Kenyans together. I had Senator Newtu here speaking, and I got a little distracted because if you look at the practices of leadership we've had in Kenya for some time now, the politics of patronage, the politics of Siasa Mbaya, Maisha Mbaya, the politics of shareholding. And if you look at it, I understand he's been protecting his perceived party leader to be Rigiji. I never had Rigiji condemning, naming and shaming Governor Kahiga, because unbecoming behaviors, naming and shaming is one of the deterrence measures that are normally used to condemn people with unbecoming behaviors. How I pray that Rigiji would come out strongly, not his people here, to make a serious statement on behalf of the Mulima Nation that this is not my position as Rigiji.
He has actually done that.
He's done that.
There's a statement, I think.
There's a statement.
No, we haven't seen a statement from him directly.
I saw it on
maybe you could be at personal level.
I saw it on social media this morning.
So
joint opposition statement.
Yes,
not him specifically.
Yes, so such kind of statements, him letting that to go under the carpet, could it be we could perceive that maybe he's holding remotely strings and pulling Kahiga, and I do not understand why my UDA member here, Senator Kanyotu.
Yes,
but they are the birds of the same feather, because he's elected on UDA. Governor Kahiga is elected on UDA, so they're still serving on UDA ticket as much as they subscribe to a new political outfit. But I just want to remind him that they all stand elected and serving on UDA ticket.
Yeah. But there was also a push that UDA itself did not take measures against its members.
UDA is a party that is governed under the rule of law. We have an institution that has got structures, and I believe in the due course the structures that are charged with conflict resolutions and measures on dealing with such kind of statements. I think in the due course, you will hear from the party leadership.
So we expect a statement in due course?
In due course.
Not just a statement, a summons to discipline Kaiga.
Okay.
Yeah.
After the statements that he made.
Yes.
Okay. There's something you raised earlier on. You said that there was a deliberate plan to stir ethnic tension in your region.
Yes.
How come you didn't talk about it at the time? As leaders, why didn't you come out and make a statement and say that this is a time of mourning, there's a plan to have these people mobilized to come and seem like they're celebrating, we dissociate ourselves with this 100%?
Trevor, that's a good question. And I referred to one of our members who was already on KTN, and I'm mentioning even the media house. And he addressed that and said, we have information that there are some two leaders whom we didn't want to name who are trying to mobilize. The same Wednesday morning when the news of the passing on of the late Honorable Prime Minister came, who are planning to mobilize youths to be seen to be celebrating this death in order for it to fuel ethnic tension between the Luo community and the Kikuyu community. And so we did not want to issue a formal statement. So if anybody wants to confirm, they can refer to that particular guest by the name Fanyamambo. He was there, and we decided, because you're already in a media station, please talk about it so that we can forestall any such plans. We did not want to issue a formal statement.
Yeah.
I'm answering your question. Because, Trevor, we must be very realistic. When news of the hospitalization of the late Prime Minister came in fact, I didn't know, many Kenyans did not know that the Honorable Prime Minister was unwell until we had the woman rep of Migori, then the woman rep of Homa Bay, saying that Gachagua is saying that, and everybody knows that, it was widely reported, that Gachagua and Kalonzo are saying that Baba is sick. And then, innocently, I think Rigi said, and it is reported, it was on the media. I mean, where do I come in? I did not even know that Baba is sick. I did not even know where he is. I mean, why is it being blamed on us? You know? And nobody to this day has ever explained. And Rigathi Gachagua expressed himself very well and said, I have not issued any statement. I have not made any comment on any of my social media pages. I mean, just where is this coming from? And that's why I'm telling you that ODM, somebody is fueling this war by ODM against Rigathi Gachagua and those of us who support Rigathi Gachagua, in spite of the fact that we do not fight them at all. Because, and I have said it many times, that even when Baba was alive, personally I've said it many times, we have no problem with Baba because we did not vote for him. Our problem is with William Ruto, who lied to us. We voted to him. Then, of course, he threw us under the bus. We have never had any problem with Raila Amolo Odinga. We have never had any problem with ODM. But ODM has been fighting us consistently. So why we didn't issue a formal statement is because if people are blaming you about the sickness of a leader, what now if you issue a formal statement?
Okay.
You know, it would have stirred even more now that the Honorable Prime Minister had already passed on, it would have actually been in bad faith. It would have been if his sickness was being blamed on Rigathi Gachagua. What about his death? So we couldn't have, and we have opted to just keep silent. We are mourning in silence.
So you two, let me ask you something.
Yes.
So how is it that you make a statement that President William Ruto threw you under the bus, and yet the person you had a problem with was Rigathi Gachagua, and in that same breath, you say that Mutahi Kahiga is an individual and it's not about you?
No. Yeah, that's also a very good question. You know, for us, I have not said that the President Ruto threw us under the bus because of just the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua. Trevor, have enumerated very many names of people who supported William Ruto. It's not only Rigathi Gachagua. There was Moses Kuria. There was Dende Nyoro. There was Mithika Dinturi. There was Justin Mituri. I was there as chair for education. Karongo Dango of Kiambu was chair roads. Senator Medho of Nyandarua was chair land. Senator Murango of Kirinyaga was chair agriculture.
Is that an entire community or individuals?
No. What we are saying is...
Why don't you also name leaders from other parts of Kenya that supported Ruto? Why from...
You know.
Yeah, because what we're trying to get at here is that these were issues between individuals and not the president and a particular community. Just the same way you've said, Mutahi Kahiga cannot speak for an entire community.
Exactly.
It's an individual.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When I said he threw us under the bus,
so it's not
I did not talk about the community. I talked about we, and that's why I've counted myself there.
Who did you mean as us? What has he done to you?
The people I've mentioned
Please
to you. And
so those are individuals. This is what we're trying to get, that it's an individual issue and not a community thing. Because what we're trying to make sure is that the politicians don't drag us into an ethnic tension that doesn't exist.
You know, we must also agree, Trevor, that communities also are represented in government by members.
And that's
why we have it in the Constitution. Just a minute. That's why we have it in the Constitution, that we should be inclusive. I mean, we should have inclusion, even in cabinet. Why is it that way?
But because there are no members from your side in
just
cabinet,
a minute, because communities feel represented, for example, in government by members from their community.
There are no
and that is why.
Now.
And that is why. That is why.
This is a yes or no question. Are there members from your community in the cabinet as we speak?
Yes.
Yes, they are there.
Okay. Majority.
Yes, they are there. Yes, they are there.
Does that mean
yes, they are there. Yes, they are there. Trevor, what we are saying is, I mean, when people go into an election packed, pre or post, I mean, there are those things, and we have a history of MOUs that have been, inked. And what, for example, caused the major difference between Kibaki and Raila in after 2002 elections? It is because Kibaki did not honor the memorandum of understanding. And in that memorandum of understanding, Raila Amolo Odinga was supposed to be prime minister. Is it true or not? Raila Amolo Odinga is not the Luo community. But when he was thrown under the bus, in quotes, there was a problem. So why does everybody want us to look like anytime we talk about, representatives of a community, we are tribalistic, but any other person, when they talk about their communities, representation of their communities are not tribalistic. And Ekuru Aukot, whom I respect a lot, would do good to also tell us, members of any other community, thrown out of government in that kind of in that kind of scale. And you have asked a good question. Do we still have members of our community in this particular government? And I say yes.
Yes, they're there.
But who supported William Ruto? Who campaigned for him? And for the longest, in Uhuru's government, for example, the first term of Uhuru's government, the Luo community were feeling unrepresented in that government, in spite of the fact that Rachel Mamo was there. Raphael Tuju was there. Why? Because these are not the people that the community felt represented them. Now, I'll also just let a minute, because you see, Ekuru, just wait, because everybody wants to paint our community as tribalistic.
No.
Now, in this government of President Ruto, before the broad-based government was formed, did we have Luo members in the cabinet? Yes, we had. Yes, we had Owalo. We had Owalo, and
Omolo is not a member of the cabinet.
Yes, we had Omolo. I'm forgetting, there was another name. But when this particular arrangement, broad-based government, was brought in, the names, I want to believe, the names that appeared in cabinet were proposed, I want to believe so, were proposed by ODM itself. So there is something about who represents who. That's why I mean, when somebody is elected, people feel that is the person who represents them. Any other person who is not elected in the same capacity, people do not feel represented by them. And I'm very sorry that we are discussing like, you know, we want one community, and because that is a narrative that has been there, Trevor. One community, when they say, hey, there is a mistreatment here, then they are told you are tribalistic. But others, when they complain, those ones are not tribalistic.
All right, let me hear what Kuru says, then I'll come to you, Ken.
You see, first of all, let's be realistic, Trevor. It's not possible for every community in Kenya to be represented in government.
In equal measure. It is possible for them, but not in equal measure.
Yeah, not in equal measure. I think what we need to disabuse here is that my community must be represented in the cabinet. What we need to talk about, Senator Nyutu, is service delivery by whoever is given a public office. Say, for example, education. People should not see the Minister for Education as coming from my community. Because, yes, he can come from your community, but he should not be seen to be serving your community.
But was that the spirit of the Constitution? You're part of the team that wrote it. When you talked about inclusivity, what did you mean?
The spirit of the Constitution was inclusion, not of everyone. If you look at, for example, Article 130, I think, which I quoted earlier, it talks about informing the national executive. The president must bear into mind the regional and ethnic diversity. I'll give you an example, what some of the thoughts that we had. We have said that no cabinet should go beyond 22. At that time, we were working with 44 tribes of Kenya. Okay? So ideally, if I was actually the president of the Republic of Kenya today, I'll pick the first 22 members of the cabinet from 22 different ethnic groups.
And you still have another 20.
Then I have another 20. Then I'll pick cabinet secretary, principal secretaries from different tribes of Kenya. I will have had a government that is inclusive from the various regions. Then, before you even go to ambassadors, parastatals, you're able to, you see, it's about the formula. So the problem in forming a government is the politics of election. Because that's why you'll find, because one region supported me, you have more members of that region or ethnic tribe because of their sheer numbers now being the majority in cabinet. And that is what evokes emotions of other regions. And that's why you can see, even when now ODM was given the opportunity to appoint people into cabinet, of course people are saying silently, they will not say it. Oh, how come Mbadi,
Opiyo? No, technically Opiyo, those are not people from the same region. It's only Mbadi and Opiyo, and then there was Oparanya, and then there was Kyoho,
exactly. But you see now, it's predominantly ODM party. No. And I think if you look at, for example, the coalition, the Kenya Kwanza coalition, not Kenya Kwanza, the Raila Odinga coalition with Azimio la Umoja. Yeah, so they are angled. They are feeling that they were left out. Some of our members were not included. It was only members of the ODM that were included. So, and you see, and now if you buy this narrative that, oh, they represent my region, my tribe, that is the wrong narrative. That's not what we meant in drafting Article 130 of the Constitution of Kenya. There is a formula, actually, using the 22. That's why we said not more than 22 members of the cabinet. You could actually fit just like the way I proposed. And that way I think everybody, but more importantly, my view, Trevor, is about service delivery to the people of Kenya when you are holding that office. You see, and that's why you can see this narrative now. Kaiga is saying, because Raila joined government, our people have been denied. I don't think any cabinet secretary is discriminating against the members of the Kikuyu community or from Nyeri or wherever. I don't know what he means by our people. So again, that is really a false narrative, because that's now what makes people think that, we members of the Murima, and I hope Gachagua also can stop now talking about the mountain. Because I think, to be fair to ODM, I've not heard them say Nyanza. To be fair to them, I've not heard them pump that narrative of the region we come from in the political discourse. But Gachagua group and Senator Nyutu here have been driving that thing of the mountain. So they are actually isolating the rest of us.
Ken,
yes,
you had a response.
Yeah, I had a response. It's interesting how my senior brother here is not telling us, or rather the nation, the truth. I just want to make it clear to my brother Senator Nyutu here that I do not, number one, understand why he says that members of his community, with the coming in of Raila in the broad-based government, are not properly represented. Because I understood one thing that he said, that it is the DCP party leader, former deputy president, that contributed majorly in the election of President Ruto within the Mount Kenya region. Well, that is much appreciated, and it is to the public knowledge that he did that. However, when there were misunderstandings between the two principals, that is also to the public knowledge, it was necessary that Kenya is greater than an individual and all of us, and the unity of Kenya, it was a unity of purpose at that, because Kenya was at the brink of collapse. And I want to actually appreciate President William Ruto for seeing the voice of reason when Kenya was at stalemate and turning down, which many presidents, if he was not wise enough and bold enough with humility to accept that his administration had challenges and bringing on board the structure of broad-based, I don't think we could be having a nation today. But I just want to remind my brother here.
I totally disagree with that.
You'll make your point. You'll make your point. You'll make your point.
Note it down.
Now, I want to tell my brother here that if it is about representation, if you look at the cabinet, the members who ethnically come from the Mount Kenya region are a majority in the cabinet of President William Ruto. If you look at the members that come from the community that I come from, we only have two people, the Attorney General and Honorable Pio Wandai, because Honorable Mbadi, we all know, comes from the Suba community. Which is actually based in southern Nyanza region. So he must and he should appreciate that President William Ruto actually thought it wise that the Agikuyu Mount Kenya community gave him a lot of considerable vote, and he still gave them quite a huge number of representatives at his cabinet. And also, Senator Nyotu, I am happy with you in the sense that you are making an appeal that the members of the Luo community and the members of the community, it is important. It is also important, which we appreciate, to acknowledge that the unity of purpose within the two communities, historically, we have seen great benefits. But I want you to ask yourself, which community benefited most? And from the independence MOUs between Jaramogi and Kenyatta, and what happened? Who violated the MOU at independence? And I also want to remind you that there was a pact in after the repealing of Section 2A in 1992. There was an arrangement that Jaramogi Oginga Odinga was supposed to lead to the second. And what happened? What happened that after Kenneth Matiba, my friend Jindo, came back and what got into his mind that he forgot about the arrangement, silent arrangement MU that had with Jaramogi, that he decided that let the people decide. And how about the year 2002? Raila took a bold step and declared Kibaki Tosha in Uhuru Park. Thereafter, unfortunately, President Kibaki had a fatal accident that immobilized him. He could not campaign. Raila took charge as the captain of the NARC coalition campaign, and he delivered the presidency to President Kibaki. What happened? Because we all remember the statements made by Martha Karua, by Kirai, this former then Interior Minister. We all Murungaru, Chris Murungaru. We remember the headlines they took in regards to the MOUs. And coming back to the year 2022, we all know that, and we do not take President Uhuru as a community for granted. He showed goodwill to unite the two communities by campaigning for Raila Odinga.
Yeah.
But if you look at the voter turnout, in Ishaweri, where Uhuru comes from, including his own voting stream, where there are only 700 people, he could not deliver votes. So what happened? Same to Martha Karua. Martha Karua was beaten, including to a voting stream where there are only 700 people. Martha Karua could not deliver. And this kind of historical injustices, as a community, we've had pacts before from independence. And I want him, if he's serious, we must first act on culture change. So, these communities, if you look ethnically, the Nilots that are married to the Kikuyus, initially it was the Maasais, but as we speak, most recently, the Luos are married into the Kikuyu community. That it shows that basically we have nothing that divides us other than politics. But if you look at the history that I've mentioned, my brother here, Kanyotu, and his Sako must convince the Luo community by first calling out and taking responsibility in giving the Luo community, shortchanging the Luo community in all the arrangements they have.
How is that
when will you talk to the Turkana?
And also, how is that historical injustice when people just make decisions, democratic decisions in their space? How do you classify that as historical injustice when people have a freedom to decide? It's a democracy that we have, and there's a freedom of choice. Just if I don't vote for you doesn't mean I have a problem with your ethnicity or your ethnic community. This is what I'm trying to bring in, because the political team are trying to drag the country into this ethnic profiling, which we are deliberately refusing to accept. Because when people decide who they are voting for, it doesn't mean that they're deciding this based on where you come from. Because now the path that we have now, and they keep changing, it doesn't change the ethnicity of the people who are there. It's just the people's choices that differ based on what they're bringing up as their manifesto and their plan. So
one thing that we must be cognizant of, number one, that Kenya is a diverse nation. We do not make an application to have 40 plus tribes. We found ourselves born in respective communities, and we are not supposed to apologize. It's not supposed to apologize because it's not criminal to be born a Kikuyu. It's not criminal to be born a Turkana. It's not criminal to be born a Luo. And the most important thing we must be cognizant of, that do we appreciate our diversity as a nation? And number one, we must first accept that there's a Kikuyu in Kenya, and their contribution into this republic is important. We must also appreciate that there are minority tribes like Ogiek and the Subas in Kenya, and their contribution is important for Kenya as a nation. The most important thing, once we appreciate that we have a diversity, we must understand that it is important there's nothing wrong communities having pacts, because these are things that have been there even before independence. and I only pray that, number one, we deal with what divides us as a nation. Tribal politics. Because either way, we will only ever have pacts politically, ethnically. But what divides us?
Let me bring in Joe first, then I'll come to you, Kuru. Joe, then I want us to move on from this.
Kenya has made the statement I wanted to start with, that I'll never, ever allow anybody to make me feel guilty of having been known a Kikuyu. And our community will never apologize to anybody for being Kikuyu. Because the narrative being driven in this country and promoted by President Ruto himself through his supporters is to show the Kikuyu, is to portray the Kikuyu as a community that is an enemy of the other community.
How has he done that? How?
I mean, you just need to listen to his supporters. Just give me time. I don't interrupt people when they're talking, so I expect nothing less. Every time people who support President Ruto open their mouths to speak, They will tell you, development was only going to one region. There is one region where people feel they are entitled. Yesterday, a senator insulted me. Told me, you Kikuyus are celebrating the death of Raila Amolo Odinga. Just to make me feel guilty of being a Kikuyu. With all the respect that I had for Raila Amolo Odinga. And I used to say it here while he was alive. So we will not accept to be made to feel guilty of being born Kikuyu. We will not accept to be gagged, not to speak when members of the Kikuyu community or when the Kikuyu community is targeted. And Trevor was in Kigali the whole of last week. And if you visit, those who have had an opportunity to visit the Genocide Museum, it is more what you are taken through is actually not, you don't see many things. What you are taken through is the history. What caused the genocide against the Tutsis of Rwanda? And it is exactly the same thing that is happening today. You just need to go to the social media. Everybody is portraying the Kikuyu as the enemy of this country. And that was the precursor in Rwanda, that the Tutsis feel superior than others. They take all the government positions. They have no respect for others. It is the same narrative. And I want to tell the world to watch. Because what President Ruto is doing is laying ground for genocide against the Kikuyu community.
No,
we will not. Yes, we will, because I've just told you, Trevor. I've just told you, Trevor. I've just told you.
Media station. That is not a statement.
Trevor,
yes, fine.
Because he himself has not actually spoken.
He hasn't.
And if you're saying that the supporters who were speaking on his behalf, then are you saying that the supporters of Rigiji?
I'll answer it. I'll answer it in this way.
I think
everybody has asked.
You have to make sure that it's not on record here.
Everybody here has asked. Ekuru and Ken here. Both of them have said, has Rigiji issued a statement? They asked that. So I will ask the same. Has President Ruto issued any statement? Condemning those that have been propagating that particular narrative.
Nobody has said that specifically. People have just said that this conversation should not be steered away from the ethnicity angle. Everybody should take their own cross. That is what everybody has been saying, right?
That's it.
Including yourself.
Yes.
So then why are you dragging the president?
Yes, I'm going to tell you why. You have listened to Ken here. He has said, he has taken you through a chronology of events that have happened. That Kenyatta led Jaramogi Oginga down. And it's true. That Kibaki did not honor the MOU, and I had referred to it also, between him and Raila Amolo Odinga. Do you remember how Ken concluded? That if we want to make amends with the Luo community, then these things that have been done by leaders from the Kikuyu community to leaders of the Luo community then need to be looked into. He was referring to the community, not the individuals.
But this is what I'm trying to say, that we should be focusing on individuals.
That's it. Now my question.
A conversation between you and Ken is a conversation between you and Ken, not between the Kikuyu and the Luo. Because Ken doesn't necessarily speak for all the Luo. And you don't speak for all the Kikuyus yourself.
He said that the Luo community has been let down. He said that. And that's why I'm saying, when Ken says that, then at that time, it is not the leaders, it's the community. When in our place, a leader does something, it is the community, not the leader. So what we are saying is, we are only asking to be given our fair share of, of the freedom to express ourselves. And I want to say this. We have never complained, though most of us who support Rigathi Gachagua, we have never complained that ODM came to government. We have never complained. And I may want my brothers here to talk of an incident where we ever complained that ODM was brought into government or came to government. And I want to also say that we did not say that we are not represented in this government. We did not see this as a community. What I said, and when I mentioned those names, when it was my time, what I said is, Trevor, today, if somebody is married, you cannot kick out your wife and bring in her cousin, and say, why are you complaining of having been divorced? And anyway, the person who replaced you is your relative. I mean, the pact was between And whatever you have done as a family, the properties you have been able to acquire as a family, it is you and that wife. You cannot say, I will be okay if I throw away this woman, sorry to use that word, this woman, and bring in a cousin.
Yeah.
Because anyway she'll be represented.
Okay.
I mean, it's the wrong narrative.
Okay.
I mean,
Trevor,
so
let him conclude then.
let's
give a minute.
And you know, and you know, Trevor, you know, Ken has gone to an extent of saying that Badi is not a Luo, he's a Suba. You know, it's a fact. I also want to tell you, Ken, if you didn't know, that Mithika Linturi is a Meru, not a Kikuyu. I want to tell you that Justin Muturi is an Embu, not a Kikuyu. So what we are saying is, I mean, let it not be that any member of the Kikuyu community, when they say something, then it's tribalistic. When anybody else talks about or speaks for a person from their community, that is not tribalism. It's only tribalism when a Kikuyu refers to their community, while others are referring to their community. What did the Speaker of the National Assembly say the other day when they were doing empowerment in court? You Kalenjins, especially you Kalenjins, must protect your son. That was not tribalism. If that has been said in Kikuyu land, that would have caused a national furor. So what we are saying is, we are in Kenya by right. Every community is
so is everybody.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So let it not be like when you talk about that. When you talk about tribalism, it is when a member of the Kikuyu community refers to their community, but everybody else has permission to refer to their community, talk for their community, and that will not be branded tribalism.
No.
But when a Kikuyu does, that's tribalism.
Everybody has
that
to
is what
speak for their community and to speak for themselves, not even their community. And this is also another conversation, Ekuru, that we're having. Even after Mutahi Kahiga made those statements, we saw a lot of members from the Mount Kenya side saying that this I don't associate with, and I come from that region. So why is it then that politicians want to drag us into this ethnic fight that doesn't really exist?
Because one of the failures in our country for the longest time is the failure of leadership. It is the leadership both outside here and in parliament that actually failed this country in terms of failing to discuss issues that matter to Kenyans. So when, for example, even here, Brother Ken here and my senior Senator Nyutu, you see, they have reduced the conversation into about almost 2 tribes. And that's why I was trying to ask the question, what happens to us, the Turkanas? What happens to us, the Ogieks? What happens to the Ndorobos? What happens to the other small tribes? So I think the first thing that we need to do on Senator Nyutu, and because you're a leader, you're a senator, and you're a very intelligent person, I think first we need to disabuse, to stop this narrative of our community. Let's talk as leaders, as individuals, as representatives of the people. I know Parliament is a dead institution as we speak. It's an extension of the executive. But it's unfortunate that the leadership from both sides has been reckless, Trevor, even in the utterances. In fact, I almost felt that there was no difference between Senator Nyutu and what Kahiga said when he used the word genocide. That is very alarmist, in my view. Because, I mean, even now to accuse President William Ruto of orchestrating that is unfair, to be honest. But anyway, I hope you will take it back. But you see, both sides of the divide, all these people, and it is through the leadership, not the communities. You know, Trevor, there are certain facts we must confront. For some of us who are intermarried, you know, so where will our children say they belong to? Yeah. If you look at the Gen Z movement, for example, in this country, they don't care about tribe. I mean, they have interacted. So this narrative of our community, unless there is deliberate effort or evidence that a certain community is targeted, and that is why we have institutions like NCIC. We have NIS.
You have already summoned Mutahi Kahiga, but is it enough?
Yes, exactly. But so that, for example, on the story that, the narrative that Senator Nyutu was saying earlier, that they are aware there are certain 2 leaders. Why can't they name them? Why is NIS? Are we saying that NIS, DCI are all failing in their investigative capacity? And therefore, Trevor, this conversation should be about political leaders, not tribes. Because I agree with Senator Nyutu. Even I would never make an apology for being a Turkana. My children will never make an apology of being from a Turkana father and a Kikuyu mother. They should not. In fact, we should encourage them even, to bear those both identities. And I know many, many Kenyans who are intermarried. So we need to kill this narrative of tribes or my community. Be proud to belong to your community, but as a leader, then tell us exactly what is your own responsibility. How do you account for some of your some of your reckless statements? Also, can we talk about country versus individuals? So some tribes, some tribes only. You see, the political discussion in this country has been reduced to those tribes are supposed to be a majority, and therefore they want to claim government. So government is supposed to serve all Kenyans in equal measure. And I think, Trevor, the challenge that we have going forward in this country is that we are actually not punishing reckless leaders. The law is not biting them. And of course, to your point, Ms. Nyutu, I can appreciate why Gachagua will be so unhappy with ODM. People just don't want to say it openly. Because ODM was mobilized, ODM members of parliament were mobilized to gang up with William Ruto to kick out Gachagua. That's just a fact people do not want to accept.
Yeah.
And therefore, Gachagua, yes, is right for him to be bitter, just like the same way, for example, Kenya is explaining how Raila worked so hard to make sure that Kibaki became president. It is also a fact. Gachagua actually also campaigned effortlessly for Ruto to be president. So when you are kicked out like that, it's only natural for somebody to be bitter and to be angry.
But those are issues between individuals, not communities. This is what we're trying to say.
When people now gang up together against you in law, we call that a conspiracy. And therefore, Ruto and they let Raila mobilize their troops in parliament, and therefore they conspired to kick out Gachagua. So Gachagua is very right in being angry. And now maybe he's telling... and the unfortunate thing now he is now dragging his community into personal fights. Into personal fight. That's the unfortunate thing. But the reason he's doing that is because he was responsible for mobilizing people from his community or his region to actually install or put Ruto into leadership, which Ruto now betrayed. So I can understand why, but let's not ethnicize this conversation. And therefore, let's be very careful also with the words we use, like genocide being mobilized. That's so wrong.
Okay, let me bring in some sound bites from a conversation that was had during the burial of the late former Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga between the Secretary General for ODM, Sifuna, and then members of the same party, still ODM, Joho and Junet. This is what they had to say. Let's play them back to back so that you see the difference in what they said.
Baba alikuwa anasikiza wananchi. Baba alikuwa anasikiza wananchi. Na mimi nataka kuencourage wanachama wa ODM. Sisi viongozi sasa tunyamaze kidogo, tusikie nyinyi mnasema nini. Nyinyi mtuambie mnataka tufanye nini na chama cha Baba Raila Amolo Odinga. Namaliza nikisema Baba Raila Amolo Odinga alizungumza wazi mbele ya nchi nzima tarehe 22 mwezi uliopita mbele ya hawa wabunge katika hoteli ya Agile pale Nairobi. Baba aliongea kwa kinywa chake mwenyewe, na waomba viongozi msiingize maneno kwa mdomo ya mtu ambaye amelala. Alisema yeye mwenyewe, akasema kama chama lazima tujiandae kwa ajili ya uchaguzi wa mwaka 2027. Na wale ambao wanaeneza mambo mengine hapa, Baba alisema, who has told you? Who has told you? Who has told you? Kwa hivyo sisi tutafuata the last standing instruction ya Baba ambaye alitoa chini ya siku 23 ambazo zimepita kabla afariki.
On the other hand, because we were supposed to do a resolution baada ya hiyo mkutano ya PG, wale wameona TV siku hiyo, mimi nimesema resolution ya hii mkutano refer to Baba's speech. Kama if you are in doubt of anything, refer to Baba's speech. Another thing he told us, lazima tukae katika serikali ya broad based. It's on record. Wale wanasikia wasikie, wale wako na macho waone.
And some of us, mimi siwezi kuwa mahali ambaye Raila kunipeleka. Tuelewane. Siwezi kuwa mahali ambaye Raila hakunipeleka. And I must say it today here, I was taken to government of William Ruto by Raila Amolo Odinga. And Your Excellency, that is where I belong and that is where I shall stay. La mwisho, watu ya ODM, many speakers have heard you, munasema, we want to assure you, chama haiendi mahali, chama isambaratiki, chama haiwezi vunjika. Mimi, the values of the party, the values and the principles of the party, zimewekwa katika roho yangu na Baba Raila Amolo Odinga. And I want to tell you, whoever imagines that anaweza kuvunja chama cha ODM, yeye ndio tutamfukuza, my friend, na ahame, chama kitabaki. Tuelewane namna hiyo.
I know all of you are here and don't speak on behalf of ODM. We were hoping Mark Nyamita would be here, but he couldn't make it this morning. But Ken, what is the future of broad-based in the absence of Raila Amolo Odinga? You can hear that even the ODM brigade are reading from different scripts.
Thank you. I want to assure you, from a point of knowledge, that majority of the leadership and stakeholders of ODM subscribe to Raila Amolo Odinga's position. And like you listened to Joe speaking, you listened to Junet speaking, and many other speakers that spoke on that day. That tells you, and is testimony enough, that what Raila stood for in the broad-based government is position. And most other speakers also spoke about the 10-point agenda, that they will guide their membership moving forward based on the implementation of the 10-point agenda. And I also want to authoritatively say that President William Ruto will make sure that the arrangement they had with the ODM party leader, late Raila Odinga, is implemented. The 10-point agenda will be implemented. So I will assure you that there are going to be little misunderstandings, which is very normal. Like we can read Mheshimiwa Sifuna. It is interesting that Senator Sifuna was making an insinuation that he will take the continuation of broad-based government to the participation of the members of the ODM, public participation. However, my question is, did his appointment subjected, his appointment as Secretary General, subjected to the participation of public members of ODM? I think the answer is no. So the ODM, just like any other party, has also got structures that are charged with making decisions on behalf of the entire membership. And I just want Senator Sifuna and the people who do not subscribe to what Raila left the ODM brigade with, to actually remember the historical precedences that have been done by other ODM Secretary Generals. So I want to authoritatively tell you that BBI is here to stay, broad-based government is here to stay, and our principal, the President William Ruto, will make sure that happens, and that there is goodwill from the new ODM de facto acting party leader. Okay.
Newton, what do you think of the future of politics without Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga? Because this is also one of the things that Mutahi is still stood by, said that this will draw everyone to the drawing board, because he was the father of politics, so to speak.
Thank you, Trevor, and I thank God that we are discussing this now after the closure of the official 7-day national mourning. The late Raila Amolo Odinga, I wouldn't have been comfortable to discuss the future of the country, about the future of the country, the political landscape of this country without Raila Amolo Odinga, while we were still mourning officially, and we are still mourning. And I want to repeat it again and again, and Trevor, you know, the respect that I had for Raila Amolo Odinga, and I must also say, though I never voted for him, but I was a secret admirer And those that have told stories about Raila Amolo Odinga, his jokes, even in Parliament, will tell you that Joe secretly admired Raila Amolo Odinga. And so we are still mourning. But anyway, to answer your question, it is a fact that the only politician so far who has had following, not support, following, not a support, is Raila Amolo Odinga. Nobody else, even former presidents, even the sitting president, has followers. They only have had and have supporters, not followers. And I say that because, you know, Raila's followers, allow me to call them that, anything he told them to do, any route, any path that he took, they followed him to that route. So that if today, for example, Raila says that Ruto is bad, for his followers, Ruto becomes bad instantly. If he says he has been cleansed, he's cleansed, and that is Baba for you. Nobody can have that. Nobody else has had. Maybe in future we will, but nobody so far has had the kind of grip that Baba had on his supporters. So what does that mean? In my view, and my view is not universal, it's just my view, what that then means is that there may not be, in the near future, somebody who may direct Raila supporters to one line the way Raila used to. So what does that mean? That there will be a lot of change in the political landscape because, of course, in Raila's strongholds, now even other people will feel they can go their campaign and, of course, maybe earn themselves some support, which was not possible, you know, during the life of Raila Amolo Odinga. He had that kind of grip. The other thing that is going to happen, and it has been said by many people, is that there are people who, of course, have been elected many times because of, you know, associating and hanging on the coattails of Raila Amolo Odinga. Such people will now have to look for new ways of doing it. And I want to agree, and I want to assure you, Dr. Ekuru Aukot, I am not a tribalist at all. It's only I get pained when I hear, when I see people, you know, maligning our community like we are guilty of anything. So I want to tell you that even in our region, there are people who have been elected, and this is true, because of disparaging Raila Amolo Odinga. Such people will also have to look for another way of getting elected. And so Raila was impacting not just the regions or the regions where he had support, because, you know, of course, people have strongholds. Not just those regions, but also the regions that opposed him. In that those that opposed Baba in the other regions, the regions that opposed Baba, by disparaging Baba, then you became maybe a darling of the constituents of that particular region. And so Baba will have, Baba's exit will have a lot of impact in the whole country. The other thing, and sorry to say, is that the broad-based government, its continuity, we can only wait for time to prove us, I mean, whether it will be able to continue or not. Because I can assure you, I voted for President Ruto, and President Ruto is a smart politician. That one I have never taken that away from him. Only some instances, I thought here he was not as smart as I thought. And so, with the exit of Raila Amolo Odinga, and Ken, you may want to hear this, Gladys Wanga may also want to hear that, she may not like it, that Ruto will look at the value that you bring to him. Ruto is very cognizant of the fact that nobody, and that is why Gladys Wanga is trying so hard to see whether she can be the one commanding, you know, Baba's support.
She's the chair lady.
Yes, she's chair UDA, but remember she's not the spokesperson. ODM, yes. Remember, she's not the spokesperson as chair. The spokesperson of any party is the Secretary General. In this case, Edwin Sifuna. So what I'm saying is, Ruto will look at your value. And I even tell people who support Ruto in our region, the moment Ruto realizes that you cannot bring him votes. President William Ruto, the politician that he is, will drop you faster than a hot cake. So that is something. So broad-based for me, we give it time, but anybody that does not prove, anybody in the broad-based government that does not prove to Ruto that they can deliver for him votes in a substantive, a substantive number of votes in 2027
will be dropped.
They will be dropped.
Okay.
And that river, archive it somewhere, we will compare notes.
Okay, Kuru, I want to take feedback, then give you the chance of closing
what I
remarks.
see with the exit of Baba, I see disintegration and the shifting of political, actually I see political auctioning. That's, I think, close to what Honorable Newton was saying, that Ruto, desperately wanting to be re-elected, will definitely assess who actually brings value to him. And therefore, for the members of the ODM, I want to refer them to a clip by the senior Fred Gumo. Fred Gumo spoke about casualties. Many people will suffer. Why? Because there will no longer be no court to hang on, like many of them have been doing. And therefore, I think you will see a decrease in political psychophancy, especially from the leaders. Some of them are, because what I see here, listening to those clips by Joho, Junet, and Sifuna, I read a lot of hypocrisy. These are the same people who are actually vilifying President William Ruto during the campaign. They called him all manner of names. They insulted him. They, some of them even swore that I will never come closer to William Ruto. All pretense, and it's all about their political survival. I wish people like Joho and others who are vilifying Ruto and now supporting the broad-based government could begin with an apology if they really want to cling on to this support. And therefore, the only person I will give credit to be fair to him is Senator Sifuna. Senator Sifuna remained constant, saying that he does not support any working with William Ruto, and he will never do that. And therefore, when he says we now need to go back to our people to actually give us the okay whether we actually can continue this broad-based government or not, I think he's right, because I know, like Senator Newton has said, yes, Raila had a following, a sycophantic following. Whatever he did, the followers will say, okay, Baba did that. But now that he's not there, people will begin to ask questions. Is this marriage really relevant for us? And that's why Sifuna is very correct in saying we must now go back to our people and ask them whether actually we want to continue this marriage or not. Okay. So I see disintegration. And I also see disagreement. And I think from what I'm seeing, I see Sifuna and maybe some of the members of the ODM who have really tried to distance themselves facing animosity within the party and possibly even expulsion. Possibly even expulsion from ODM, especially when, I'm sorry to say, but especially when some members of insiders were trying to Luonize ODM without Baba. So now without Baba, I see casualties.
Okay. Let me bring up some quick feedback, then give you each a chance, just 1 minute each for closing remarks. We've really run out of time here. Let's see what you're saying online at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Citizen Daybreak. Says, I'm following the show as Kenya. We need to move away from this nonsense of tribalism and blame game. And that's what our generation will deliver. What a sad day watching them dividing the nation on such a big platform. That is a shame. That is from Buru. Nice, I think that's a name there. Gabi Wakasiaka says, it's heartbreaking to hear such divisive and demeaning words from a leader who should be preaching unity and healing. Death is not a tool of politics, nor should it ever be framed as a reward or punishment to any community. Governor Kaiga should be impeached. Okay. Bobotieno says, celebrations over the late Raila's death reflect how deeply our politics is divided along ethnic and tribal lines. No wonder the region rejected him 5 times in his presidential bids, yet he'll likely be hailed as a hero come the 2027 elections. Okay? Nixon says, whatever words we utter should be chosen with care, for people will hear them and be influenced by them for good or ill. A good word is an easy obligation, but not to speak ill requires only our silence, which costs us nothing. JM says, what Kahiga did is quite unfortunate, but using his statement as a blanket condemnation against his entire community is the worst. Wanga and ODM leaders should not have dragged Gachagwa's name or associated him with that. It infringed on his personal rights. Okay, Abdi says, ordinary Kenyans live, work, and laugh together every day. It's the selfish politicians who plant division for their own gain. Time we reject their games and stand united as one nation. Ekuru, closing remarks. 1 minute.
Yeah, what Kenya is lacking, Trevor, is a father figure who will see all tribes in this country, all regions in this country as his children. And that is the only way we can build a nation state. For now, the political leadership of this country, especially at the highest level, is investing so much time in their region, in the tribe they come from, and the tribes that can ensure that they are into leadership. That is what we are lacking as a country, and that's why today it is so wrong to describe Kenya as a nation. Yeah, we are just a country of tribes.
Okay. Ken?
Thank you. I pray, Trevor, that leaders and politicians moving forward, we have no any other country. Kenya is a beautiful nation. In our diversity, we equally have our strengths as a people. How I pray that moving forward, that politics or political interest, regionally, locally, and nationally, should not put us to derail the unity of our people as a nation. Such statements coming across the political divide should be discouraged. That's my prayer.
All right. You too.
Trevor, for me, just to ask that everybody should carry their cross. Mutahika Hivagag made those unfortunate remarks. He should carry his own cross because he does not speak for anybody. And just like one of the viewers has said, it was in bad taste for Gladys Wanga to associate Rigathi Gachagua with the nonsense, sorry to use that word, that was, looking like celebrating somebody's death. And Trevor, all of us, anyone can die anytime. So you cannot talk about death like you are death exempt. And so that was very responsible. No African or even a Mzungu should talk about, should say anything that seems that may be interpreted to be celebrating somebody's death. And finally, Trevor, let us not be hypocritical. And I say that because Raila Amolo Odinga fought for rights of Kenyans. All his life, actually, all his adult life. And I started by saying the suffering that he endured, 9 years in detention, his family suffering, Mama Aida Odinga being thrown out of Kenya High School, house, at night with children, given 24 hours, just because Raila was fighting for his rights. It is hypocritical that the President Ruto, having received the news of the passing on of Raila Amolo Odinga, signed punitive laws that actually erode the rights that Raila Amolo Odinga fought for all his life. That is very hypocritical. And finally, President Ruto did not become president last week. President Ruto has had very many national days. He should have given Raila Amolo Odinga the honors of Chief of Golden Heart. Including last year.
Okay.
It was hypocritical and in bad taste for me for him to honor Raila Amolo Odinga posthumously.
All right. Let's leave it there for now. Thank you so much for making time. Dr. Ekuru Aukot, the leader, Third Way Alliance, Honorable Joe Nyutu, Senator for Moranga, and Kennedy Obuya, Chairman, UDA, Homa Bay. We hold these conversations because we believe you're smart enough to decipher what is right and what is wrong. Do not be dragged into the ethnic divisions. You're all brothers and sisters as you've always been. All right, that's where we leave it for now on the State of the Nation. Bye for now.